been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train. Going too fast now, think I ought to slow down, standing in the pouring rain.
Latte?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Of course, man. What's going on, guys? Tristan and Tony back with the One Hell of Life Outdoor Podcast. And if you've been following us on social media or heard last week's podcast, we started a new thing we're going to do once a month where basically you had to send me a message or comment on the post, but I'll put you in a list and I'm just going to randomly have GPT or whatever pick somebody random and to come on the podcast. So it's a cool way to interact with listeners and stuff like that. And to, the first person to come on is Colton Hayes from South Carolina. And the cool thing about it is kind of fitting to start the series, I feel like, is it's somebody that we know, but we don't really know, you know what I mean? Like, this is somebody we've met in passing several times at Delta Thunder Outfitters and has supported us over the years, and just super excited to have you on, man, and just learn a little bit more about, you know, what it's like growing up hunting in South Carolina and, you know, whatever, talk whatever.
Yeah, man, I appreciate it.
Absolutely, man.
No, y'all listen, Colton's a good dude, and I want to dive into, like I only get to, like, hear, like Tristan said, we only know, like, a topical view of Colton Hayes, you know, just whether it's your social media posts or what we've sat around and joked around, talked about in the blinds or whatever it be. But man, I will say this. There's one thing that Kade will always say about you for the rest of your life. And that is, if Colton Hayes is coming, you better get here and hunt. And because I'm telling you, I will say that we are part of for many years now, we've seen a lot of people. You know, we've hunted, you know, in camp with folks that were paid hunters and that kind of thing. And a lot of people, and dude, you guys just have some kind of like spiritual draw to the ducks, or, you know,
yeah, they say that.
You guys do some kind of crazy dance in South Carolina that transfers over to Arkansas. I don't know, dude, but, and we can talk about some of those experiences for sure. But you, yeah, dude, what's that saying about luck? I'd rather be
lucky than
good any day.
Yeah.
I'd rather be lucky than good another day. And Colton, I think not only does it help that the other thing Kade will also say is that those guys shoot ducks. Like, when the ducks come in, not many ducks leave at all.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, man. Like back home, and Kade's always picking on us. You know, a lot of times he calls us the Wood Duck Warriors, and I mean, I'll send him pile pics of. I'll take a group of guys because the limit's 3. I'm pretty sure it's just about everywhere. It's limited wood ducks 3, and I mean, I just have some really big public land, and we know the swamp real good. We can get away from everybody, and I can take 5-6 people and kill 18 wood ducks.
Yeah,
you know, just like somebody else doing, you know, a different mixed bag out west, and they're like, dude, how are you doing that? And it's just learning how to capitalize on those opportunities, and that starts with good shooting. It starts with that. Oh, here comes 4. Okay, let's kill all 4 of these, not kill 1 or 2. You know. And
I've seen it. You guys are good. You guys are good shots.
Well, man, and you know how those wood ducks are too. I mean, most times they're not going to be just landing in front of you, so you're kind of shooting them on the wing. So no wonder y'all are good shots.
Yeah, I had a guy that his name's Matt Smith. He started hunting with me this year. He's a local, and he's been hunting with a group of different fellas, and he wanted to come with us, and they never ran mojos and didn't believe in pulsators or anything like that, you know. And hunting out in Arkansas when I was younger, you weren't allowed to use mojos. But back home you were, and we used to finish ducks in the holes with jerk strings, pulsators, ripplers, things like that, little tricks, you know, still the old fashioned kick in the water with your feet and stuff. And I mean, he killed his first banded wood duck this year. It was from Georgia. It was a 2-year-old bird. And I mean, they were decoying to a mojo. And he could not believe it. I'm like, dude, it's all about how you set your hole up and, you know, being upwind and all that good stuff. I mean, all that counts. I said, but you got to have motion to kill the ducks down here. And a lot of people are scared and they flee from that because they hear all these old timers say, oh, no, you can't do that. Well, every scenario is different. You know? That's
right. And,
well, dude, I think like now I'm like thinking about a few different things because I want to get into like a little bit of background on like.
No, well, first of all, tell everybody about you.
Yeah, that's what I want to get a little bit of background on you, and then I want to come back to a few things. But before we get too far down the line, yeah.
I mean, I'm just raised up South Carolina my whole life. I'm a granddaddy's boy, you know. the best way to describe me is, and no kidding, I tell a lot of people this because I'm real young and I've grown up fast in my career. Like I'm a construction guy. I've been blue collar. I've worked from the East Coast to the West Coast. My last job, the big job that I walked away from, I was in Big Timber, Montana, in between Billings and Bozeman.
Holy cow!
And little side note, that is the hidden jewel of waterfowl. The duck hunting up there is amazing.
Yeah.
The greenheads and the widgeon, but my dad raised 4 kids by himself for 12 years. So
wow.
there came to a point where, and the economy was hard back in 08. He was a construction guy, blue collar and stuff like that too. And I mean, anybody growing up in that time, they know that was a real struggle for a lot of families. And that's what separates people from being what I like to call an avid hunter, an opportunist, or a woodsman, and I consider myself a woodsman. I don't go for the kill. I go because I enjoy it, but I go to provide, and that's what's kind of put me to where I'm at now as far as hunting and fishing and stuff like that. I've learned to enjoy it, yes, but I've also learned to provide, and growing up being the oldest of 4 and, kind of my dad's right-hand man, getting to work early and then hunting when I can. And now I've gotten older and the whole thing has changed. It's like, all right, you got a 2-year-old, a wife, and a kid, and you got a full-time job, and you get to hunt when you can, and all those little tricks, I learned when I was younger. I feel like that's who's made me who I am today and why I'm here.
Man, that's
what an awesome perspective, dude.
Definitely back then, I could remember going. I mean, if it was a season, we hunted it. I mean, it was year came in the August deer season came in here, August 15th. In the low country, and you could even shoot a gun in August here. And my dad always started with a bow, and then by November, I mean, he was very ethical. We went from bows, then we went muzzleloader, then we went rifle, and then duck season came in, and I'd kind of go shoot a wood duck here or there on the creek by myself with a single barrel Stevens. I had a single barrel 20 gauge. It was a Stevens. He bought it from the Coles down here in a little town, and we have a very small town. They were still selling them at the Coles.
Wow, that's crazy to think about.
That's wild.
He had when he was a kid, and I used to take it from him and go shoot wood ducks with it. And I killed my first deer with it, and then but we hunted rabbit, we hunted squirrel. I mean, we did it all, and and the whole time I'm out there doing that, we killed turkeys. I mean, we used to be able to get 5 turkey tags, and my dad had 4
Holy
kids.
Cow.
My dad had 4 kids that would all hunt. So, I mean, he got 20 tags.
Y'all laid them down.
And, I mean, back in the day, you could. And, I mean, times have just changed, man. But through that whole process of us growing up in the outdoors, it really teaches you, even now when it's hard, to be able to go out and still be successful. And people sit there, scratch their head and be like, well, how is he doing it? Well, when I was over here deer hunting, I was watching this, or I was watching that, or, and it's just how everybody looks at things differently.
Well, I love how you said that about being a woodsman, because I think so many people miss that aspect of it, especially and I personally, because duck hunting numbers are in decline, I think if you're buying the stuff and doing it ethically, at the end of the day, that's probably a net positive for everything, because we need numbers. But, there's people that get into it just for, wanting to look cool or whatever. But, I think that's the message that I think a lot of folks that aren't looking at it from a whole woodsman's perspective need to learn. I honestly kind of goes back to the passion of why we do what we do. I feel like I would consider my dad a woodsman, and growing up under his kind of tutelage, I feel
I'm going to teach you about a mushroom or a damn acorn or
pay attention to these little things.
Let me tell you about why the deer eat these acorns first, or all those things.
Right.
That keep going, Tristan, because I think you're bringing up a good point.
If you don't have somebody in your life to show you those things, it's very hard to learn just the years of wisdom.
It's almost impossible.
Little things like that.
You miss all the. You
got to have you got to have a mentor.
Yeah,
you have to. It really goes back to all the way back to literally. Let's get Native American, and I don't want to call that specific. What's the word I'm looking for?
They're probably the ultimate woodsman.
That was the golden days.
But I still strive to this day to feel the connection. Of that rice field, those ducks, that deer that's walking in, that rabbit that I saw, my son walking with me, my new dog running through the woods,
Right.
and whatever it is. And I think that if you're listening to this, this is why I wanted to just hit on this real quick. If you're listening to this, don't let this get by you too fast, because if you're loving the outdoors, no matter what you do in the outdoors, I don't care if you're just a fisherman. I don't care if you love to just shoot turkeys. I don't care if you just like to walk through the woods. It doesn't matter what it is, but strive to be that woodsman, like you talk about, and feel those things. And if you don't have somebody to roll you, sometimes all it takes is, man, maybe you never talked to your grandpa about that. Maybe you never talked to your Uncle Steve over in Michigan about that. You know, I've lived in New York all my life. I've never hunted, but I know my Uncle Ted does in Colorado. You know, whatever. Utilize your resources. Utilize us, everything else.
Yeah,
but
thankfully in today's world, you can find about everything you want to know on.
But
on
my goodness,
YouTube,
But my goodness, and this is the thing, is that when you get to the point of your life as a hunter, as an outdoors person, and you can connect with those small moments, every time we're out turkey hunting, and I see those first blooms coming out, I always take a close-up picture of a flower and send it to your sister. And it's just Dad loves you. Here's a picture of a flower, know. Yep. But that's a woodsman in me, right? I mean, knowing and I might tell her what that flower is. This flower is it's a weed, or whatever. But no, man, you hit that. You brought up an incredible point there.
So Colton, you were talking a little bit about learning your environment and being successful in your environment, and how it is. Anywhere you go, there's a different learning curve to being successful, man. And just hearing that, how you were just talking about the wood ducks and how you guys have learned to be successful there is super interesting to me. And quite honestly, hearing that made me question, does anybody really know how to hunt wood ducks? Because all I know, my experience wood duck hunting, is either you're on the spot where they're going to land, or you're just passing
you're not.
by. But, talk to us a little bit about that, man, about how... What's up, guys? If you want coffee that doesn't suck, you probably can guess what I'm going to say. Get the Duck. Dirty Duck Coffee is the official coffee of the One Hell of a Life Outdoor Podcast, and they have a great lineup of different coffee blends, everything from Morning Wood and First Flight to Dark Dynasty and Suns Up, Guns Up. You can't go wrong with Dirty Duck Coffee. And they have a great lineup of cold brew cans, mocha, French vanilla, original cold brew, and cinnamon teal snickerdoodle. If you want 15% off your next order, use code OneHellOfALife15 on your next order. Don't reveal any secrets that's gonna out your success. I guess.
Can we first start with the fact is how do you guys oh man, I know where these wood ducks are feeding at. Bro, I don't know about you, but I was down in the cypress swamps of Florida and everything. I'm like, I thought about it one time. I was like, God, the amount of hours you would have to put in to understand this one swamp.
Yep.
To hear one and go, okay, I'm going to go where I heard that one. Yep. And then it's just like finding a good fishing spot, right? Through thousands of casts, whatever. But go ahead.
Well, that's you kind of hit on what I was just about to say. Well, one, you got to really know your territory in your swamp. But we'll back up a little bit. Like I was talking about, always growing up in the outdoors, and I love fishing. I'm the guy that instead of going to the lake bass fishing, I go to the river, and I can go throw a pink float bubblegum worm right here 10 minutes from my house and catch 3-pounders every other cast. I mean, it's not cocky. I had Chaser. They're on YouTube here. Chaser Outdoors. They came out in my boat. I took them fishing. They filmed it. I mean, they were catching 5-6 pound bass left and right, and all the video.
Wow.
Striper, middle of the river, here in town. They own a big clothing brand, and they wanted to promote it.
Nice.
But I do a lot of shell cracker and brim fishing. I absolutely love it. So the whole time I'm doing that, I'm a duck hunter deep inside. So I'm looking. And when you get in there in the early time in the morning and it's real dark, it's still real dark. And anything like my granddaddy always told me, we always go fishing when the sun's coming up. So we leave it safe light. And as we're going down through there, we go real slow and we'll look for the oil sitting on top of the water. And usually off of a full moon, when you see the swamp has rainbow colors and there's oil in it, that's usually where there's a big bed of fish at, especially in that shallower water.
Huh.
Well, when you're quiet and you're listening for that popping noise, and then mayflies have bloomed, and then brim and shellcracker up there trying to hit them mayflies, you'll start to listen and you hear or and you're like, oh, there's some ducks back in there, Pops, and you say, yeah, and then you kind of pick those spots out, and in your mind you say, okay, well, here I heard those and here I heard those. Well, we're gonna traffic ducks. And quick story. The weekend before last was the last weekend of duck season. I gave it one more hoorah, and I was going wood duck hunting. And I walked in. We did a little walk-in hunt, and I walked into a spot. And prior to that weekend, we shot a 3-man there. And there was a group of guys standing there, and I ended up knowing a couple of them. And I said, well, I'll tell you what, I want y'all to go in there and have a good hunt. I even gave them my pen. I said, go right in here. I said, I'm going to go up from you about 300-400 yards. And I started, I sat up and everything, and as soon as everybody cut loose and did some shooting, I was steady, weep, calling wood ducks like my granddaddy would. And a lot of people there say, you can't call wood ducks. You can call a wood duck. And I had a couple of the boys come up to me, and they were standing on the levee when I walked out, and it was like, dude, you called them ducks in that you shot. I said, would you say that one more time for me? Because I couldn't hear him. The water was splashing. And I said, genuine. I said, would you say that one more time for me? He said, I watched them ducks fly parallel down the lake when they were hollering. And he said, you were doing a sit and drake and a chuckle. You were not doing anything else. He said, every time you did a chuckle, they'd turn and give you a look. And he said, one would pull, they'd all swoop in. Wow. We killed a 4-man doing that on our last 2 raw. And and people will tell you to this day, you can't call a wood duck, or they won't come to the mojo, But then again, it's learning those areas. And like you said, you were in Florida, how much time, many man hours you have to put in to learn that swamp. Well, when you're down there fishing it, and you're running bush hooks in it, or you're down there riding with your buddies during the summertime, just drinking beer on the Sunday afternoon with your old lady and the baby, just watching the sun go down. And the whole time you're there, all those local birds are flying around at dark, flying around in the morning time when you're fishing. And then okay, well, there's a hole right here. Well, yeah, 20 other people might know about that hole, but they don't know about what's deeper or where they're going or learning. Y'all could come out here and we can put in at the river, and we could spend all day and never see the river. Like, just run the swamp the whole time. Hours and hours of running the swamp, and it will just like you'd be like, oh, I duck hunt there, I duck hunt there, I duck hunt there, and it is. And people obviously drive right by that spot and say, dang, I wonder where them boys killed them ducks at that same spot you drove by and said I should duck hunt there. It's not really any oh, the wood ducks are going right here, like you were saying. You come right here, you want to be sitting where they're going, they land in the water, they're coming right to you, kill them. No, you can traffic, the birds you're hunting. And sometimes, like river hunting, especially back here, because that's all we have. And river hunting is always trafficking birds. And when you can learn to pull them, then your game's on. That's what makes the difference. Everybody that hunts like lakes and long lines or rice fields and things like that, when you're stuck in the river, and the river's only 30-40 yards wide and 10-foot deep max, and you're still killing ducks, then you learn, okay, well, these ducks ain't gonna come here. You have to learn how to work them and call them and kill them. And it all starts with fishing or riding the swamp and just learning it. And the water's this color this high up in the swamp, but when the river's out the bank here, the water's this color. Well, when the water changes colors, they can't see their acorns, so they're gonna push farther back up in there. Like when our rivers get out the bank and it floods into one of our swamps, Falkerberry, you can go 100 yards off the river into the swamp, and it'll be peanut butter mud water. And you go back in there a couple more 1,000 yards, and it'll turn crystal clear. You can see the bottom. And what you think them ducks are doing? They're flying down through there, and they're looking. Okay, here's this, here's that. And if here, a lot of people make the mistake of, if they see acorns on top of the water, like, oh, we got to hunt this. Well, if the acorn's floating, the acorn's hollow, it's dead. So you want to hunt that 1 to 2 foot, that 12 to 18 inches of water, 36 inches of water max, of just solid, clear, clean. Don't go out there, stir the mud up. Don't put 20, 30 decoys out. Put you 4 or 5 decoys out in a little post header and tuck up in a tree and do like the old ducks men used to do, just black yourself out and don't move. And I mean, they'll do it every time, because they've been educated like anything else. They get educated. I was listening to Bro Brooks talk the other day about turkey hunting, and he said from the Georgia and South Carolina state line through central Alabama and into Mississippi, them birds come out the egg smart. And if he's saying that, I know the eastern bird is the hardest bird to hunt, and it's just things like that some people, not being outdoorsmen, they tone out. They don't really listen to that. A lot of guys will go, hey, I've been invited to go on this hunt. I know I'm gonna kill something. I'm gonna go. But you or me or your dad I'd like to think Kade. I don't know how much it is true, but they'll go even if they're not gonna kill, and because they enjoy it, and that's the biggest thing,
Yeah,
not really worried about the kill.
No, I totally agree, man. I just found a clip that I posted the other day, actually talking with Kade, like about this same topic, and I think growing up like a deer hunter my whole life up until, I don't know, I'm 29 now. I think I started duck hunting at like 20 or 21. And that level of patience when I came to duck hunting, I can't tell you how many times we shot 3 or 5 or 1 or whatever. Somebody shot a model duck for the first time. That was the coolest thing. Made the hunt. Yeah. Now let's drink a 24 pack of Busch Light or whatever. Like those kind of moments, though. But I think it's hard, I guess, if you grow up like with a certain like expectation or like that's how things are here, and you smack them all the time or whatever. But when you have to like grind and appreciate those things, it really makes you a lot more patient.
Yeah, you got to learn to appreciate it. I mean, I feel like that's why we do okay out there at Cade's, because we come from somewhere it's hard. We know it's hard. And I mean, I usually go up there a couple times by myself. I'll go up randomly on the weekends, kind of like y'all. Y'all kind of go whenever you can. And I usually take a group of guys, and it never fails. I sit there all day sometimes grinding out, trying to kill ducks. And them guys, like this year, they left at lunchtime for about 3 hours. And in that 3 hours, I picked up 10 birds by myself.
Wow.
I mean, they came back. I had a couple gray ducks, some teal. I killed ringnecks in the crackhead. And I'm like, you got to, like, you just got to say.
What's up, guys? Tristan here. If you're like us, you need gear that's going to stand up to the elements and not break the bank. That's exactly what we love about Frog Talks. They just dropped their brand new Oxbow waterfowl series, and let me tell you, this stuff is built for serious hunters who don't want to quit when the weather turns nasty. It's tough, lightweight, and waterproof. Everything you need when you're out there chasing ducks. If you're looking to upgrade your gear this season, head over to frogtalks.com and use code OneHellOfALifeOutdoors at checkout for 15% off your order.
Okay, I'm gonna kill ducks today, and you got to sit there, and then that's when you realize you're not an opportunist. You're out there to enjoy it, and you're out there to hunt. And I mean, when you come from, like I just said, that down here it's hard. Like, if they're shooting greenheads and gray ducks here a lot, or widgeon and pintails and stuff, they're in an impoundment on the coast, or they're in an impoundment close by their house. They're not hunting the swamp or anything like that. Like I go hunting down here, and I hunt, like I said, when I hunt big water, I hunt long lines. And I'll tell you what, there ain't nothing but divers. You're going to kill divers. You'll pick up a few early teal. You'll pick up some path shooting, a couple wood ducks. But I mean, you're not sitting there working greenheads and gray ducks and widgeon and stuff like that like you are out west. Yes, sure. Yeah, you can do it, but it's very rare. And like you just said, you were celebrating about that model duck. When a greenhead or something else out here, grab an 18-pack, we can kill it. You know what I mean?
That's right. Well,
dude, hold on real quick. I wanted to say, so like going back to the thing about hunting out there or hunting out in Arkansas or whatever, I almost feel like, and I'm curious, I kind of know what your answer probably will be, but do you almost enjoy the hunts more where it's like, because everyone's been on like that one, you're like, damn, we will never forget that, 8 o'clock, we're done. But like the ones that kind of drag on, we talk about this all the time, to like 10:30 where you're shooting singles and doubles, those are almost better.
Well, from a filming perspective, we would much rather have that. Yeah. Because it's very hard to tell a story in a video and make it compelling. Like, imagine if every time you turned it on Outdoor Channel, that videos now, instead of lasting 30 minutes, are a minute and a half, and they're just like, went out on the first day, shot a 200-inch deer. We're done. See you guys later. You know what I mean?
Like you said, I went on a hunt this year with some cat guys. Like we said, we buy a lot of cat equipment. We work hands on with them to keep us running and stuff. And I got invited to go to Blanchard Cat Impoundment and stayed the night. They did an oyster.
Damn, they have their own impoundment?
Oh yeah, they have a couple of them here, and they made us oyster. I stayed in a nice cabin, had my own room, and we had oyster roast and breakfast the next morning and coffee and cappuccinos. And we get on the side-by-sides, and they take us to the impoundment, and then we get in a little mud boat, and we go out to this A-frame blind, and we're done in 27 minutes.
Holy cow.
And I'm like, you know what? I told one of my buddies this. I think it was Drake. I said, I enjoyed every minute of being down there. I said, because that's an experience that a lot of people don't get to do.
That's true.
Get to invited to. I said, but I wish the hunting would have lasted longer. He said, well, I said, because not every day do you get to hunt one of these professionally done, well spent money impoundments. Right. And it's done in 27 minutes. You kind of want to sit there and sit back a little bit and actually, work something different, being from down here where all you kill is wood ducks, divers, or, some teal and gray ducks up there. There was one group that shot like 6 mallards, a redhead, and some wood ducks, and we killed 18 ringnecks in 27 minutes. It was out, and the guide, which they have their own guides, he was like, hey, we're going to put another group in this blind. Y'all can shoot. Y'all are done. Let's go. And I honestly wanted to ask him, like, just like you were saying, you almost wish it would have lasted longer. I almost wanted to be like, can I just sit in the blind and like call ducks? Or like help or like watch, because that's how much I enjoy it. Like, I don't have to pull the trigger. I've never been that kind of person. If I was that kind of person, I wouldn't take 6 or 7 people every time I go up to Kade's. I have videos, and y'all have seen through my social media. I have videos with just my phone of 20 ducks coming in a volley, and I'm saying shoot them. And you think I pull the trigger? No, I called them birds, but that's where I get my reward at. But I'm very much like you. I would rather sit there a little bit longer and get it and suck it all in and get to enjoy the hunt. Like you said, from a filming point of view, it's really good to catch them doubles broke in. They're slowly working, or that pintail, and you can zoom in on that sprig, and it's just sitting there. It's coming from 10,000 miles above, because that's where they love to fly.
Yeah. No, dude, and it's great. It's crazy that this is kind of coming up, because this is like, I've been on this meat eater kick lately. Like, of course, I followed Steve Ranella forever and everything, but I've been on like the serious dose of it lately, and like really trying to understand, because he's an incredible writer and an incredible speaker, and the perspectives that he, there's a reason why he's so popular, right? Let's face it, in a nutshell. But he brought up that very fact. I think he was Dall sheep hunting, and it was a rare hunt of some kind. And he said he brought up the fact in the middle of the hunt. He just goes, and I might not be saying this exactly correct, but the main point he's trying to make is, he's like, I have this opportunity, this draw that I've waited for.
Yeah, it took him 18 years to pull it.
Yeah, or something like that.
Crazy.
Yeah, something crazy.
It's like a once in a lifetime draw, because there's no preference points.
But what he said innocently was, and the way he said it is what spoke to me, was he goes, I'm sitting here going, if I want to be successful right now at the beginning of this hunt, he goes, I've got 4 more days, or 7 more days, or whatever it was. He had this ample amount of time, and what he was just talking about is processing that, not the answer, but processing it.
Yeah.
And it really ties to exactly that, right? Honestly, when it comes to, with all the years that I've been doing deer hunting, if I get that on opening morning, the very first minute of light that I can shoot, that the biggest deer of my life walks up, I'm shooting it.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about it. Let that hunt be over, and I'm getting hammered. That's just plain and simple. But something about the waterfowl hunting is different when it comes to that. And I think in my mind, since he said that, I've been processing things, and so I'm more set up to answer myself, is that we all, a true waterfowler is engaged in the whole experience.
Mm-hmm.
And the experience is what speaks it to us, right? And I always love to use the example that Tristan's wife, Kade, said was one time, is that her first hunting weekend, her favorite day was the day that honestly everything went wrong. And it was a
Kade was super happy that morning.
Yeah, he is.
We didn't get set up till like 8:30. The
brain
side by
went
side
out,
broke.
The brain went out on the side by side. Literally stopped when he parked it the night before to prepare for the hunt.
Yeah,
it would not.
Here, you're screwed.
But she said that's the most fun she had because it was the experience, right? It was the day that was the day she goes, I want to sit next to Kade from now on whenever we sit in a blind, whatever that is. And so full circle of what I'm talking about is I think that's where it comes from, is that why, yeah, we all want that, right? I mean, if you're the selfish hunter, dude, there's something to be said some days when you're getting your ass kicked. You're like, dude, let's limit out by like the first 20 minutes and be at Waffle House at 8:30 and like beat somebody's record to Waffle House in Arkansas.
Yeah.
But most of the time, yeah, dude, put me in that blind. I've told Kade many times, I said, dude, I'll just go sit in that blind all by myself. He goes, well, there's no ducks or geese flying over there. I go, I don't really care because I want to go out there one time and just be that guy that went out there and I was out there. I talked about this, the Athabascan folks.
I was like, what are you talking about?
No.
Alabascan, Alaska.
Athabascan. Here's where I'm going with this. They always say that when they go hunting, they refer to it as they're going either walking around or looking around.
That, yeah.
Okay? Right. They never say they're hunting. And so the opportunity comes to them because they're putting themselves in that environment connection with the world, right? No shit. Last year, I told Kade, the I don't want to say his name, but the farmer he's got a relationship with that's not too far. There's a blind, the lodge. We couldn't hunt this year because there wasn't enough water. But I said, I'm going to just go out there by myself. And he goes, why? There ain't nothing flying over there. I said, I don't really care. I'm just going to in the middle of the day. I go over there, dude, and I'm walking out there and I just get up to the blind and one solo snow goose comes flying right over, and I was like, let her rip, tater chip, boom, boom. And the next thing I know, I took a selfie with it and sent it to him. And I was like, ha ha. And you know what? That was the hunt.
Oh, yeah.
That was it. That's all I needed, but it's waterfowl is just, there's something about keeping the experience alive. And when we walk away from it, it's done.
Yeah.
Whether it's the biscuits being made in the blind or whatever.
Yeah,
that's some luxury stuff right there. Getting breakfast made in the blind,
dude. Shoot, what about another big shout out to whatchamacallit?
Will
no.
Yeah, for real. That boy.
Well, Will, yeah, too. But Brittany, dude.
That's a nice little ad to Delta Thunder.
Dude,
the breakfast burritos are spot on.
Dude, did you guys order it? Huh? Dude, we ordered it. She showed up before we left the lodge.
I pay her every time I show up, I pay her in advance for the week, and I tell her breakfast casserole, breakfast burrito, breakfast burrito.
Let's go. Yes.
Dude, that's amazing.
Yeah, dude. I mean,
again, adding to the experience.
You self-guide out there a lot, though, right?
Every time. I never go guided.
Yeah, so what I think's freaking cool about that is, back to the whole South Carolina thing and, having to figure that out and be successful out there. Like, obviously, those principles, now you're hunting working ducks, actually, ducks that fly way up in the air and you calm down, not just, buzzing around the lake or marsh or whatever.
Right.
But obviously, those principles that you've learned translate. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and they do. And some of them, like you said, in principles, I bring home and they work.
And you and Kade talk a lot too. I mean, I know you want to have a successful hunt, and I know a lot of times I've heard you guys several times. You're just sitting there picking Cade's brain, talk to him. How should we do this? What do you think about that? And you guys listen, you know. And but big shout out to guess what, Arkansas folks, you ain't gonna like it. There's some boys from South Carolina know how to come out to Arkansas and shoot ducks.
if you had as a South Carolina resident, do you feel like surely you've seen the stereotype hate against states that come to Arkansas? Do you feel like it is warranted, or do you think it's blown out of proportion?
I think as far as game land goes, it's definitely warranted.
Gotcha.
Yeah. As far as private land goes, it's a little bit different. But I mean, we can back up a little bit. Like y'all know, I do construction and everything. Well, before I met my wife and had a young and everything, the whole reason I met Kade is because I worked on the road. I did the U.S. pipeline, North Georgia pipeline, U.S. pipeline, whatever you want to call it. I mean, actually, I lived in Villarica, Georgia for a year. I did.
Oh, no kidding.
Down there. I mean, I did that for 4.5 years, and I hunted from every duck season. I was hunting in different states.
Wow.
And so I hunted public land, and I hunted with guys that I'd meet at a restaurant or a bar or drink a beer with or on the line with, or laborers and welders and stuff like that. And I've always been humbled, I'll say, because I've never been one to really invite myself, but I've always carried enough, I guess, decency about myself. Like, hey, you want to come hunt with us? I'm like, sure. And then they'd be like, you got a duck call? No, because I want to listen. I want to learn. And like you said, I picked Kade's brain and I ask him. And there's a lot of times when now I don't bother Kade. I don't care what he says. He's done showed me enough, between taking a spread and building it and then thickening it up or thinning it out or making this shape here or making that shape there, or it depends on, where you're sitting at on a levee or where you're in the pit, and a lot of people from, I would say, the East Coast are them little 6:30 in the morning shooting lights at 8 o'clock at day, and you're already at home because you sky blasted at some wood ducks and watched YouTube on how to kill greenheads or something, and you think you can go out there and do it. And hunting out west, I'll say, will humble you. I mean, I hunted Nebraska, Idaho, Michigan, Minnesota. I've hunted all across there, because of the pipeline, and it never fails. I was in Montana on the Yellowstone River with a full-blooded native named Tristan.
What?
Wow.
That's pretty cool.
What's even crazier is that Tristan, where he got his name, he had like a Native American vibe on the movie, right? I mean, shit.
So, and we were hunting with him, and it was 3 of us, and we had a greenhead, I'd say a greenhead widgeon beatdown. And I wish I could show y'all the picture. I'd find that I have a big scrapbook of every hunt I've ever been on. I print them out every year. And I'm listening to them call and how they call ducks there from the Canadian border to Montana to about upper side of North Dakota. I'm talking like Rapid City, North Dakota. I'm not talking about where everybody, I'm talking about way up there, like right outside Wyoming. And I mean, they're just whack, 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 whack. That's it. And that's it. They don't do feed chuckles. They whack, whack, duck, don't give them a look. Oh, it'd be all right, bud. And anymore. And you're like, oh,
that would be all right, bud.
You're like, oh, you know what I mean? It's good. And I had enough of that. I'll say that. I had enough of that. And because I knew in my mind, just like anyone else loving duck hunting, watching, y'all's videos. I'm a big fan of K2 Productions. I love watching his because, I mean, when he first started out, he was very raw before he started going like to the slash and stuff like that. And even the old ducks, man, I mean, they were finishing birds, but they were finishing 10 packs and above.
Yeah.
And up there, when you see that many of the species that you want in your mind, you're like, I can finish that group if I can call, and I could blow a duck call, but like I once said, I was invited, so I never stepped on anyone's toes. And one day we had a good amount to drink that night, and I don't think we went to sleep. And we were hunting a heated cattle pond that we got permission in Livingston, Montana, in between backside of Bozeman. It was in between Ennis and Livingston, and it was a heated cattle pond, and it was off of an oxbow on the river.
Wow!
And these ducks were burning up the river about 300 yards away all morning, and there's no ice on this pond. And I know the river's about locked up because of how cold it was. And I, hey, real quiet. And Tristan looked at me. I was like, what you call that? I said, I'll tell you what we're going to call it. And he said, what's it? We'll call it the Cajun Squeal. And there was a group of widgeon. It was 6 widgeon. They locked up and turned to us, and I, hey, and then they kind of circled. And I did a lonesome in. I said, hey, and they just locked up, came right to us. And then as the morning went on, and he's calling up, whack, stopping. Whack. He's like, hit the Cajun Squeal, hit the Cajun Squeal. And then we hunted, and I finished that project. It was in Stonewater Mine. It was 9,000 feet in elevation.
Wow.
And the funny fact about that is we were building tailings ponds. 9,000 feet in elevation, there would be ducks from Canada sitting in the mountains.
Are you kidding me?
Wow.
I have pictures and videos, and I'll send
That is so cool.
Dude, that's crazy.
I have tracking 155 Komatsu dozer one morning. No kidding. This is the biggest dozer they make. One of the biggest dozers Komatsu makes. And we were scraping the ice off the haul road. And I looked to my right, and a tailings pond is water that comes out of the ground that cannot touch our surface because of the chemicals from, the mountains and the oils and the rock and all that stuff and the acid. And there's just canvasbacks, 300 deep, 9,000 feet in elevation.
Wow.
And they
That
get
is so
up,
wild.
and they fly straight. And I'm zooming out the map, looking where they're going. And they're going straight for the Dakotas off of that mountain. It would have been the south side of Yellowstone part. They were going straight for the Dakotas to the right side of Rapid City. And I mean,
That's something.
and I take all that knowledge that I got and back to, like we said, being a woodsman and just paying attention to the little things, and I take all that and I bring it here and I take it to Kade's with me. And if I think, I don't know if I was telling you or somebody else, I used to hunt in Thompson, Georgia a lot. For turkeys. Yeah. And all that, everything I do, I just take it with me and I try it and it works. And them boys still pick with me to this day. We use that Cajun Squeal and it turned a duck in a heartbeat, but they would have never known if it wasn't for the old South Carolina boy going up there and hitting the old highball one time or something,
Well, dude, this winter, elevate your outdoor pursuits with Williamson Outfitters, offering professionally guided experiences along Florida's Forgotten Coast. From coastal duck hunting to inshore fishing, every Williamson Outfitters trip is led by a seasoned captain, delivering world-class adventure with true local expertise. From small private groups to large corporate retreats, Williamson Outfitters' fleet of well-equipped boats and experienced guides provide first-class winter outdoor experiences for sportsmen of all ages and skill levels. And for those planning ahead, Williamson Outfitters is already booking spring and summer charters. Secure your fishing, flounder gigging, and family adventure dates now before their calendar fills up. Call or text 850-251-8650 or visit floridaducks.com to reserve your outdoor experience. Williamson Outfitters, making the Forgotten Coast unforgettable.
That's so interesting because, just thinking about it from their perspective, they're like, well, normally it's so, and no disrespect to them, but like normally further north you get, it's not
easy.
A secret that it's usually easier. So yeah, it's like, whatever, man, those didn't want it. But for somebody looking at it like, nah, like if we just put in like 25% more effort, like we're going to kill these ducks.
Yeah. And what makes it so bad is, every time we hunted, we ran a dozen decoys.
Wow.
And a couple mojos. That was it.
Wow.
That was it. There's no convincing up there, and that's pretty much when you make it past Nebraska.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it is. And a lot of people would probably argue with me that because a lot of people go like South Dakota, North Dakota.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, a lot of those guys hunt areas that someone else has already told them about or another group's been. And no different than you and me going deer hunting. And you walk out into the woods and you look at the deer and deer's looking at you and I ain't coming back through here at this time. You know what I mean? It's the same thing with ducks,
So, go ahead.
I just feel like, the older I get and the more I love it, and especially duck hunting, I see that it went from a million ducks to a couple thousand hunters to a couple thousand ducks and a million hunters. And that's got a lot to do with it. A lot of people tell you Duck Dynasty, I'll say it. I think Duck Dynasty ruined duck hunting. I think Phil Robinson was great, but he should have kept that to himself. You know what I mean? And that's just it. I think he could have definitely kept that part to himself because I mean he got the whole world wanting to blow a duck call.
Yeah, no, that's true.
Well,
I think.
let me
Hold on before we get on that tangent real quick because that's a good little conversation thing. I wanted to ask you, you know, hunting so many different places, man. Like that, honestly, hearing that is like our kind of like I don't know if you have seen any stuff about like our one hell of a duck season thing, but like the whole thing about that is to show different environments. How like we just went to Florida this year, did not blow a duck call and shot a 4-man.
Not only the environment, but how they do it.
Right.
Yeah.
And like our whole thing is wanting to show these different environments, but obviously plane tickets, traveling, all there's money involved in all of it. So you only can do so much. But like one of the big things that's on our bucket list is like hunting out there on the Snake River in Idaho.
Oh,
I mean, I'm just curious to hear like if you had to pick a spot out there out west, whether it be Montana or it be like Pacific Northwest, like Widgeon Hunt or the Snake River or whatever, like what would you pick? Would be like
I would go to Montana. It is the hidden jewel. I have a very good contact out there, and I can.
All right, we're going.
You paying for it, bub?
Colton's
I
going.
can make it to where I don't know what you'd pay if you're going with the outfitter.
Babe, I need a tax write-off.
Or whatever, but I mean, we can go with the outfitter. It's a little bit more expensive, but I think it's $350 a day.
Okay.
And you're going to have this ain't no timber duck hunting, but you're about to have the best stud greenhead beat down you've ever had in your entire life.
No
and you're
kidding.
not going to have to work. You're
And
gonna
what's the
put
limit
12
there? Is it also 7?
Yes, it's 7. It's a
Holy
Pacific.
7,
shit.
just like Idaho, dude. That blows my mind.
You're gonna throw 12 little decoys out, and you're gonna say, "Here, duck," and they're gonna go straight.
Wow.
and you're
is
gonna
beautiful.
be shaking in your boots because the whole time you're like, "Oh, that's a stud greenhead," and you know you got like for me, the last hunt I went on up there was in, like I said, Ennis, Montana, and the mountains were in the background with snow caps on them. It was the base. It was the base of the Crazy Mountains. Where Yellowstone was filmed at. It was the base of Crazy Mountains. I mean, so I had the Crazy Mountains in the background. You know, they call them speed goats, but they're antelopes feeding around, and you got ducks.
Talk about filming, man! Holy shit!
Right here, and you know, and you're out here just you and a 12 gauge and an A-frame blind sitting on basically a rock bar and 6 inches of water with the decoys just sitting there swimming, and they just suck right in there, and you're like, dude. This is too easy.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
That's like a filming dream, dude. Like for real, to have that scenery.
Dude, it would be so man. Like I said, man, we could definitely line it up. I mean, 'cause I have some really good contacts up there.
Well, that's good to know, dude, because that's killer. It's on the bucket
and out
list.
there, and
sure.
where you're talking about Idaho Snake River, you know, they hunt those dry, flooded potato fields.
No kidding.
Yeah, nothing will be there. Potatoes already harvest, but that sheet water off of the edge of those rivers. It's like Arkansas rice fields, but on steroids.
And there's just something about the leftover starch of the potatoes or something, or what?
Dude, it's got to be that, or maybe they put like a rye down or something before the rivers come out.
Well, it could be just the animals, inside of the soil that have something to do with it too. I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe there's certain worms that go after potatoes that ducks like to eat. Or,
right.
I mean, who knows?
Yeah.
Whatever.
Yeah.
But anyway, you're about to. Oh, well, he was talking about the Duck Dynasty thing. You're about to.
Okay, so here's what I want to say, and this is my 2 cents worth, or at least I guess, you know, being around, having some, like my dad would call it, time on planet.
Yeah.
All right. And that's this. Dude, I grew up with a guy that got me in the outdoors when he would tell me stories of 10, 12, 15 guys going to Southern Illinois to bow hunt deer, and it would be something special if somebody came back and saw a deer track. Can you imagine that?
Mm-hmm.
It's crazy.
No, we can't even fathom that, right? And this man was alive to see, oh my God, Bill shot a spike.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole thing about, like, I don't know if you experienced this out there, Colton, with deer hunting and stuff, but it was a celebration, at least when I was younger, that you know the whole thing about putting a deer on your hood?
Right. Like
Why?
Yeah.
It was something special.
Yeah.
It was something special, man. And that's where it came from, is a man showing his pride, the hard work he put in to harvesting this animal, not just to show off the rack. I mean, I put a doe on top of a freaking 84 Escort. All right. It don't matter.
Yeah.
But here's my thing. I watched the state of Illinois when everybody found out and heard about that they created this thing called the Golden Triangle of Pike, Brown, and Adams. I'm not speaking anything people don't know, but I watched that with deer hunting explode. I mean, explode that you younger guys and gals aren't going to understand that. People my age understand it and seen it. But imagine it from where it was just shortly back, less than 100 years ago. There wasn't a deer in Illinois, right?
I mean, I totally agree with you.
And it explodes. And it explodes. And so then it becomes the public hand. I've been this guy. I'm the public land hunter in Illinois, right? So I also feel like it's very relatable to say, if you're an Arkansas duck hunter, that you're in the Super Bowl of duck hunting, right? I lived in the Super Bowl of deer hunting. All right. I watched these out-of-staters come in, try to do their thing and sit too close to you and overpopulate the area. And there's not enough deer and they're shooting too many small the rule is you can shoot 4 on one side, but they're shooting a 2.5-year-old 8-pointer, all these things. I've been through all that shit. So what I'm saying when it comes to this whole duck hunting thing, we, unfortunately, us as humans, we take more than we give back.
Absolutely.
All right? And it's just a fact. You can't get away from it. We're the only mammal, I believe, on the planet that does that. Okay?
We're the only ones that modify our environment.
Exactly. And so guess what, folks? I don't want to be the spoiler on this, but unless we get really, really, really serious, we are going to where it's going to all go to where deer hunting has went. And that is, me and Tristan are currently trying to spend 3 to 4 years trying to get a tag in Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because the resources diminish, and there's got to be a stop somewhere, right, to protect it.
So, and I'm not going to get on a big tangent here, but like the thing about a migratory duck though versus a deer is that there's so much nuance to this, because like one,
I agree, yeah.
in pure, like literally just in pure duck stamp numbers, there's not as many duck stamps year by year sold. But why does it feel like there's more hunters? Yeah. It's like the opportunities are going away. And then on top of the opportunities going away, there's more people that are, buying 1,000 acres of land and flooding it with whatever. So it's like there's all this, and then the weather, and then, in Arkansas, like we just learned from Kade's granddaddy, like, I don't know if you heard that podcast, Colton, last year, but his granddaddy was saying, like, back in the day, it was like not uncommon to have like 25% of your rice not harvest, and now it's like less than 10%.
With the equipment, because they want to be more efficient, so there's less.
Right.
I mean, you got to have, and
there's
like
so many
factors you got to have weather to have ducks.
There's so much to the thing,
I'm just saying. Also, I'm trying to say is have some patience, especially if you're a young person, to let this work out. All right. Because number one fact that me and Tristan always support on this podcast is that the professionals in the positions that are making those decisions, that are doing the surveys, that are doing all this, dude, they love it, if not more than we do. Like, you might not even understand a love like that. That's why they're doing it. Okay. And you got to be able to accept some change. And whether it's being that the birds are moving, I mean, hell, what was it, Tristan? The canvasbacks, the biggest migration of them used to be Chesapeake Bay. Yeah. Where is it now? It's in freaking Georgia.
Yeah, okay? It takes me days, 6 hours for me. I mean,
that was in one lifetime to somebody.
Right.
So things are changing, folks. I'm not gonna go down the whole rabbit hole of the whole corn thing and all that stuff like that. I'll let those things work out. I want to see what the professionals that understand wildlife and what their needs are. let them work that out. All right.
Well, we can back up to deer real quick when you're talking about how you said it was crazy to see, a deer track.
Yeah.
A lot of people will tell you it's crazy to see a turkey track, or, it's crazy to see that. I mean, I grew up in the Southeast, South Carolina. Dog driving is a very big thing down here, or at least it was. It's definitely slowed down a lot. I mean, we didn't have big deer. Well, a lot of guys from here traveled to, eat. The closest place you could go to kill a decent deer was Georgia.
Oh, it used to be the joke state, really, for
I have
deer.
a deer right here on my wall that scored 140 that I killed in South Carolina. I watched for 3 years.
Wow.
I named it. And I have one in my son's room that scored 134. I watched for 4 years. He's
incredible deer.
Wow, man.
I can tell you every detail about him. And it's that piece of ethical that comes out in you being an ethical hunter, and understanding the pride in it, like you said. But the dog driving was getting out of hand for a long time. I mean, they were shooting spikes, does 30, 40 deer a day.
Holy shit.
And
dude.
we're down here trying to enjoy bow hunting on a little piece of private property. And I can remember as a kid, you could have 110 acres. Well, the farmer next to you said, "Hey, this dude's giving me $1,000 this for X amount of days of deer season. He's going to run dogs on my property to get rid of the deer so they ain't eating the soybean, the corn, the leaves off the, the cotton or anything like that." And they're cutting 30, 40 head of walker dogs loose, and you're sitting in the bow stand and you got a 130-inch deer, and here comes 6 dogs, and you're hearing the shooting going off.
Goodness gracious.
I mean, I sat and we back to waterfowl. When I grew up duck hunting with my daddy and my granddaddy and all them, wood ducks would come into the decoys. We didn't shoot them because when my granddaddy grew up, they were extinct. You weren't allowed to shoot them.
Wow.
And there would be 30, 40 wood ducks sitting in front of me in South Carolina. And he'd say, "Nope." Yeah, I'm in the boat. We were in a 14-foot polar craft one morning, and I tell you right now, God strike me dead with a lightning bolt. If there wasn't 75, it was 150 wood ducks swimming out in front of me at 60 yards, just piling in there all morning. And he'd tell me, "Nope, that's a wood duck. Nope. Or there's a teal, shoot that. Or there goes a gray duck, shoot that." But because when he grew up, you couldn't shoot them. And I mean, people will say here all the time, we need to make the limit 6 one year on wood ducks. Well, if you make it 6 and you got 60,000 people duck hunting, there goes your population again. And that's it. I feel like that's how it is out there for you where you were from deer hunting. I mean, I feel like you said, you had a lot of people that traveled there to public land hunt because you were in the Super Bowl of deer for especially growing, big deer. And, you run into that problem where these guys go up there and they from the Southeast and they see a 120-inch deer and they're like, "Oh, thoop," and most of the time, you guys are shooting, 150s and 165s. And I know a fella named Ronnie Flynn. He lives right around the corner from my house. He's got 30 deer on his wall that he's killed in Pennsylvania on the backside of an airport that he has permission to hunt. And the biggest one he shot's a 200-inch deer grown.
Yeah, Pennsylvania and New York got some big ass deer, dude.
And it's just crazy to hear you say that though, and understand. Like for me, I can actually understand, where you're coming from, because I mean, and most kids in my generation, I feel like they didn't grow up in that household that had somebody that hunted, 2-3 centuries ago that can tell you from then to now, and his daddy can tell you, and then his granddaddy can tell you, and then your daddy can tell you. I mean, I got my great granddaddy shotguns. I got 1954 Belgian Browning A5s, and I'm begging my dad to let me duck hunt with it to this day. I mean, just to say that I did it, dude. You got to shoot bismuth. They made them guns back in the day because you used to be able to shoot lead. When my granddaddy duck hunted, you could shoot lead shot at them. So that's why they were made out of steel barrels. And it's just, it's to hear all those how the times have changed, and actually being able to sit there and relate to it even now. And you can kind of see it with duck hunting or deer hunting. And for me, it's especially turkey hunting. Like you can see it just kind of go right back to where it was. And then you're kind of hoping before the good Lord calls you home, it kind of opens back up one more good time so you can have that hoorah,
Well, think about this. All right, and this is the only thing I'm going to say about the flooded corn thing, all right? Because Tristan and I, I don't think we've even said it, but I think I know my son, and we're not going down holes like that. We just choose not to. But here's what I will say in relation to deer hunting, and this is why I was kind of like trying to get to is, dude, when I hunted growing up, within my lifetime, around 53,
Old.
do you think that we had a guy that came into, say, Brown County that owned several terminals at the Atlanta airport that came in, built $1.5 million lodge, bought 7,000 acres, but you only see him 4 weeks out of the year? All of that. They're not looking for a return on the money. It's the high dollar man's game, right?
Yeah.
All right. You come in, you buy it, you own it, you do all these things. It's a chest bump, all those things. I'm not bitching against that. All right. I'm not one way or the other on it. Here's what I'm saying. That changed deer hunting. All right. All of y'all that do land improvement and sell it, change deer hunting. I have nothing against it. And if I could afford it, my God, I would. All right. But it changed deer hunting.
Mm-hmm.
What we're seeing is a very similar type of thing going on in the waterfowl world that's becoming more public now, that there's people that spend a lot of money on this sport. All right. And if they have the resources to do so, they're going to do so. And that's going to impact the guy next to you, or the farm down the road, or this refuge that the ducks used to hang out in and now they don't. You know, those things are going to change waterfowl. I don't give a shit if it's in Arkansas or Nebraska. Get off of this whole thing. Kansas is the new state. Nebraska is, all that stuff. These are the things that are highly impacting waterfowl as we know it. Mm-hmm. All right. In conjunction with our state agencies, Ducks Unlimited, Delta Waterfowl, doing their damned hardest, best, people busting their asses to protect our resources.
Right.
All right. That are public land. You guys have some patience. That's all I'm saying. I've been here for a long time, I feel like, and things just kind of work out and it ends up okay. And the same place that I could tell you about that got overhunted and all the big deer are gone because of all the out-of-state hunters, I can show you right there just a couple of years ago that a 10-minute walk from where everybody parked, I shot a double split G2 155-inch deer. All right? So have some patience is all I'm saying. You duck hunters, don't get too caught up in these things. Just like don't get caught up in the polar vortexes are happening more often. There's more hurricanes and there's climate change and all these other damn things. Listen, it used to snow I used to get snow drifts to the top of my mom's garage when I was a kid. All right. Doesn't happen in Illinois now, does it? No. But now everybody's like, oh my God, there's all this weather change. You guys just have some patience. Let some of these things work out. Let the people that are professionals in those positions. Let's do our best to nominate those people, of course, and get the right people there. But have some patience with everything that's going on. These things are going to shift and work their way out. They really are.
Yeah, I think that's good. Colton, you know, you touched on it a couple times throughout the podcast, like the construction stuff. And I mean, I see you posting stuff all the time, and I mean, it seems like you're kind of passionate about it, or at the very least, you're just like, hey, this is a cool piece of machinery or something.
Yeah.
But, you know, I think it's kind of cool because I think a lot of people relate to, we all know we all work hard to do what we do in the outdoors. And I'm just kind of curious, like, to hear your story just from, you know, your career, you know, and what you've done to do what you do now and all that.
Yeah, man. I mean, like I said, you know, I was the oldest of four, so I went to work early. I didn't go to college.
Mm-hmm.
So I did not go to college. I actually had I'll hit a quick note on that. I actually had a buddy come up to me the other day and he asked me for a job.
Nice.
He did 5 years of college.
Wow.
He said,
I didn't go to college
he
either.
said, Colton, he took me to dinner. He took me to dinner and he said, you know, I'm not going to put nobody's business out there, my business out there, but I'll put a hypothetically here. I mean, he said, Colton, where are you at today 5 years down the road? I said, well, I make over 6 figures a year. He said, dude, I can't come out of college making that. I said, you won't.
Yeah.
I said, everybody in this world, they need trade. You don't need to worry about nothing else but getting in the trade. And he said, well, I'm sitting here knocking on your door because I want a job. And I said, are you kidding me? And he said, no, I'm serious. And I said, well, come on to work then. And, I started him off, but I'm telling y'all the same thing. I told him, I started doing this straight out of school. I worked in a ditch, laying utilities. I laid water line, sewer. I was the guy that you called on the weekends to go in and fix the sewer main for the city. I'm talking about in Frog Talk waiters back in the day when they were like the fishing waiters. They just came out.
Yeah.
Like I'm in Frog Talk waiters, and then oh goodness, he'll come to me in a second. The Frog Talk waiters and the Frog Talk zip up rain jacket.
Oh yeah, the OG.
Doing live sewer man taps to fix something that broke up. I'm talking not no little 4-inch, 5-inch pipe. I'm talking about 10-inch mains.
Wow.
And I did about that for a year, and I said, okay, this ain't for me.
Bro, I did a little bit of that before I went in the Navy, so I know what you're talking about.
I met this older fella, and he's not with us no more. His name was Trent Johnson, and he's an older black guy, and he drank so bad his eyes would be yellow. But he worked for a grading company. I said, Mr. Trent, he lived down the road from my house. I said, Mr. Trent, I want a job. He said, well, what you gonna do? I said, I do anything you ask me. He said, well, if you got to want to, I'll show you. I said, yes, sir. And he put me on a roller. And a roller is, when they're placing dirt, you're rolling it. Like dozer goes this way, you're right beside the dozer. When he backs up, so I got the whole time I'm rolling, I'm watching. And so I run a roller for a company for a few years, and then Mr. Trent taught me how to run a bulldozer.
Nice.
And then I ran a bulldozer, and then from there I turned 19. When I was 19 years old, I worked in Hale Gold Mine, which is about an hour from my house. I worked in the gold mine for 2.5 years with a big company over here out of Spartanburg area, Greenville area, called Morgan Corp Construction. Okay. And I worked for Morgan Corp for about 2.5 years. And when I left, I ran the second the biggest motor grader that Caterpillar makes. I ran a 16M motor grader. And to put that in reference for you, it'll take up 3 lanes of I-20 by itself.
Good
wow.
night.
I'm 20 years old running that motor grader, making, roughly 60 a year.
Wow.
Running that motor grader. That's without overtime and everything. And that company went to Texas, and I went to Texas. And then, I kind of jumped on the pipeline from here and there. And I learned a lot from a lot of people. I could go on and on and on about, all the people I met and know and the experiences that I've had and the opportunities that I've had. But I brought all that knowledge home. And I had a fella that, y'all ever heard of Scout Motors, Scout Trucks and everything? There's a big project going on over here in South Carolina. It's a Scout.
They got it's like very similar to like your Bronco. Yep. Look, sharp looking. Actually, I just saw it and I was like, "Damn, dude, that's a sharp." I thought it was a Bronco.
I don't think I've heard of them.
It's a little bit bigger than yours.
Oh. It's pretty cool. They had a big scout job going on over here, and I jumped on it. And I was with a couple unions working out west, so I closed my books when I came home, but obviously with good connections, they helped me get a job. And this fella that I know wanted to start this grading company, and I said, well, I got this if you got that. And that's kind of where I'm at, man. I've always had the want. I've always wanted to do this. I love it. I make videos about it. I got fed to the wolves at a young age, being young and working with older guys. I never hung out with kids of my age. I always focused my time around them older guys so I could learn. I've got 27, and there's not anyone on my crew older than 25, and they all run, $1.5 million to $1 million machines every day, moving, 10 to 20,000 cubic yards a dirt a day, making the company anywhere from a couple 100,000 to $1 million a day. And they're all in their 20s, man. And it's just good. And I just have a really good crew. I have a really good friend group, and, they all kind of work for me. And a lot of them go out in the caves with me hunting, man. I mean, that's what we do. And, I mean, I love it. You just really got to, you come around me and you hear me talk about construction and you see me do it and you say, okay, he don't like it. He actually loves it. That's what a lot of people have said about me. I mean, like I said, I don't have a college education or anything like that, but like I told you about early in the podcast, I mean, I got invited to go with Blanchard Cat duck hunting. I mean, you don't just get invited because of your skill on a piece of equipment. I localize jobs, I topo jobs, I survey jobs, I fly jobs with RTK drone. I mean, I set our equipment up with GPS. I help build the models. I edit any models that are there. And for those who don't know what the model is, I mean, the model is the job. It tells the guy in the machine, this road's going here and this pad's going here. And, and this sewer service is supposed to go here and this water service. I mean, it breaks it down to the littlest details. And I mean, I build all that. And then it's like, I got a big chessboard in front of me every day. And I say, okay, I got 13 foot of cut over here and I got 6 foot of fill over here, or I'm going to send this machine here and build this, and this machine here is going to build that, and I'm going to take this dirt and do that here because this dirt's wet and that dirt's dry, and and they do compaction tests. You got to have X amount of percent of compaction over your moisture. It's like welding. Your polarity can't be higher than your gas. I mean, so you got your moisture and your compaction. I mean, all that goes in the effect. Whether you're digging sand, clay, red clay, rock. I mean, there's just so much that goes on into like these neighborhoods and hospitals and just big corporate buildings that get built. It's not just go knock down the trees and the building is vertical, you know what I mean? And I just really, man, I just pursued it, and it's definitely paid off. I mean, they say, they always say find what you like to do and do it for work. I mean, all my guys tell me I could call every single one of them right now. They're old men. They're probably already asleep, but I mean, and I hear it every time. About once a week, someone will say, I like coming to work here. It doesn't even feel like I'm going to work, and that's what we go for. You know what I mean? That's why we do it. They
that's cool, dude.
And they hang with it, and I mean, I just love it. I mean, it's fun being the young buck and out there, and everybody in town's talking about you, and you're making good money, and everybody around you's doing good for themselves. And I mean, like I told you earlier, there's nobody on my crew that's older than 25, but
that's awesome, dude.
They're all hungry, and they do good for themselves, and it's just cool to see that, that generation's dying.
Yeah,
there's a lot of kids that go to college, and I mean, I get it. They go to college and have fun, and their parents can afford it, or they did right by themselves and got a scholarship, and then they blow it, and then they come out of college and they're driving the same car they drove to high school, and they're fighting to pay bills and student loans and stuff like that. And then you got somebody that said, "Okay, I'm going to do this," and then by the time that, like my buddy, I mean, I tell him right now, I mean, he's out of college, he's 5 years behind me, 6 years behind me, and I'm making 6 figures a year, and he's coming to work for me making like 50, 60 a year, when if he would have pursued it earlier. I mean, it's just something you got to look at and you want to do. If that's blue collar is what you want to do, you better keep your head down and go, because there ain't no attaboys. You got to get yourself. You know what I mean? That's just
it's one of those things that everybody's got to eat a little shit along the way.
Yeah.
Colton, and I think that, and this is just speaking from being, I was a Yankee, and now I'm not. And
we've been in the South of. Well, I've been in the South
majority of your life.
I've been in the South now majority of my life. So I
therefore,
officially,
yes. Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Claim that.
Here's the thing that I will say I have claimed personal witness to, and unfortunately, I'm speaking the truth whether you like it or not, and that is the folks in the South. And it might not be the Bible Belt. It might be whatever. But the folks in the South do a better job at passing on the reality and the tradition of what it takes to be a good person. Obviously, the Lord is a big part of that.
Absolutely.
And there's more care on your children and the people that come like these things that we pass on, these ethics, these what's the right word, morals that you pass on, yes sir, yes ma'am, there's a reason why you do that. Okay, I still do it to a 16-year-old that serves me at Publix. It's respect, right? It's a mentality, but you don't realize how far that goes, right? And I think that you just have a little bit better success ratio with running into somebody with those good morals in the South than you do in the North. And I'm not even going to say big city has anything to do with it, because there's some big ass cities in the South, right? And black, white, I don't care what you are. The most immediate thing that Tanya and I noticed moving our family to the South was how much nicer people were. I mean, just respectful and all that. It all ties together to what you're talking about, Colton. And not to take away that there ain't some great people in the North. I know there is. But I'm just saying that it's more predominant in the South. And I respect being a part of that. I really do. I think it's so important. And it's unfortunately that it's a great place that you can find some really good people.
Yeah, I mean, like you said earlier, you said the Bible Belt. I told my dad we went on a quail hunt. I don't know if y'all saw that on Facebook. We went on a big quail hunt. My dad's not the kind of guy that will go hunting and you kick the quail and they come out the bush. Like he's not like that. But he's with a group of guys that go around to these farms that work dogs, quote unquote, work their dogs, and they get to hunt the cleanup birds, is what we call it. So we go down there behind a big corporate company and we shoot all their missed birds. Because 9 times out of 10, when those guys hunt and they kick up the birds, they're like, we kill 3 out of 4. Screw that last one. Well, it turns into hunting. Then, we were on the way back, and I told my dad, I said, man, you see all these churches down through here? We were in the Low Country. We were around St. George and Charleston. I said, dude, there's been a church every 10 miles. And he's he's like, it's the Bible Belt, man. I said, come on, man. They don't need that many churches. He's like, you don't understand. It was a tradition. It was back in the day. And I wish it was like this today. I mean, I'm not going to say I'm no saint, but I know my Lord and Savior, and I know where I'm going when I leave this world. And I will tell you, I wish that I could drive down through there on a Sunday morning and see every single one in parking lots full. I mean, that's what we talked about. I mean, I wish I could go down through there and see that, because that's when you say the yes sir, yes ma'am, or the sweetheart and darling, and that's not just stuff that came out of nowhere and made it. No, that was real. That was the respect that we used to have. And I mean, if we can all get closer, back closer to that, I think this world will be a lot better place, for everybody.
Amen to that.
I'm pretty hopeful, man. I think the news is gonna blow anything out of proportion, but I feel like things kind of self-correct over time. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And just I mean,
look at the Vietnam era, dude.
It can be anything, man. But you look at all these examples throughout histories where things swing this way and they swing back this way and they self-correct.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like just in our, I'll call it, we're basically the same age. Our generation of people, I feel like your parents, for example, had so much, all these kids everywhere and having to bust their ass all the time.
Oh, they did, dude. They were baby boomers.
Working the steel mill, working the whatever. And
the farm.
It was just hard.
I need 12 kids on this farm.
Just hard.
I mean,
hard times to raise kids in. And then I feel like a lot of parents, and you're not everybody, but just the general rule, then it was your generation where it was man, my parents had to bust their ass. I respect them for that. But I want to be closer with my kids, just as a general stereotype. And then it kind of
or work harder and be more successful than they were.
And I'm not saying that.
Whatever.
And I'm not saying that in a negative way.
Right.
All I'm saying is they were doing the best they could and had to. People had bigger families back then.
Absolutely.
That's another thing.
Life was harder back then.
As a newly father, I mean, my son is a year and 6 or 7 months old. I mean, and I'm telling you, as a newly father, I love my dad, and we had a struggle growing up, but I look at him every day when I get up and go to work. I leave my house 4:30 every morning. I go to the gym for 45 minutes, and then I go straight to work. And I look at my little boy when I kiss him in the morning. I tell in my mind, I say, he ain't gonna have to do what I had to do because I'm going.
That's right.
That's
exactly right.
And I know exactly where you're coming from with that.
Heck yeah, man. Well, dude, before I want to be, I know you got probably get up early in the morning, and we've been on here for a good bit, but tell everybody like your favorite hunting story or something before we get out of here.
Man, I think, I think I've recently told you this, but it really is my favorite one. I have so many, but this one really hits home. I lost somebody. I lost John.
Right.
He was like a little brother to me. He really was. My dad and his dad went to high school together. I mean, we slept in the same bed as kids, like the whole 9 yards. And matter of fact, he was sitting on his left couch cushion just for me on the other side of this computer. It was last spring or the spring before last. He was telling me we were going duck hunting in Arkansas, and he was staying the night here. And he said, we were talking about turkey hunting. He said, "Hey, I know where some turkeys are." I said, "Do you?" Because he's not a turkey hunter, And he's a little bit younger than me. And he said, "Yeah, I want you to put me on one." He said, "But they right underneath our nose. You wouldn't guess where they are." And he told me where they were. And to this day, I won't tell nobody where they were. And we went to Arkansas, and man, we killed a 7-man one day before like 9 o'clock.
Wow.
Yeah.
And we killed. I think we killed 200 total waterfowl that 4 days we were.
Holy cow, man! That's
I remember that, dude.
It was self-guided, and I had just learned to blow a spec call, so that was counting specs and stuff. Now that just wasn't.
Yeah.
And we come home and we're talking about it the whole way home, and he passed away in a car wreck last February, a week from today actually. So next week. I was sitting here and I'd been turkey hunting and I'd been trying to. Do y'all know Drake?
Yeah.
Drake, and it comes with me all the time.
I was sitting next to him.
That's what
restaurant.
And I'd been trying to put him on bird, and I'd done my fair job. I mean, I had him right there. I could have shot the bird. He could have shot the bird. He'd just do something wrong and nothing happened. And I got rained out of work. Like we were saying earlier, the opportunity of getting to actually go hunting when you get older, when you have a full-time job and young. And my wife was sitting here and she's like, "What's wrong?" I said, "I'm about to go turkey hunting." She said, "You done lost your mind." I said, "I'm about to go turkey hunting." And where me and John talked about.
Mm-hmm.
And I drove my work truck because it was a rough road. I drove all the way down there, and I'm looking at this road, and I'm looking at this one, and I'm looking at the one across the street or the dirt road, and I'm like, "Dadgummit, I don't remember which way to go." So I put my gear on, and I shut the truck door. I go to the back of the truck. I had a Blue Yeti cooler in the back of my truck, and it had that HydroTurf on it, and it had his sticker on there. And I tapped the sticker twice like I always do, like when I grab a beer. And I opened up the cooler, and I grabbed the water, and I stuck it in my pocket. And I said, "I'm thirsty." I took a sip. Now, when I was taking a sip, the clouds had covered up the sun. And I said, "John, which way do I go, buddy? I don't remember." And 2 turkeys, gobbled. I mean,
No
like
way.
What?
And my heart started racing, and they were.
I guess
so I thought they were from, like I said, I'm standing at the back of my truck. From where I were, I thought they were about 300 to 400 yards in front of me down this road. And in my mind, I knew that oak bottom was. I said they're in that oak bottom. So I take off down this road, and grassy road, a little wet, just rained. Like I said, got off work early because of the rain, so I'm real quiet. And I have extra tufts on, so I'm flat footed. I'm walking heel to toe. I'm not breaking anything and anything like that. And I get about halfway down the road, and I hit the call and nothing. So I decided to do a kiki rather than kiki, yow, and it cut me off. And I turned around. They were behind me. I didn't walk by the bird.
Oh,
Wow.
shoot.
I walked by both of these turkeys. So I snatched my hand decoy out, forget about the strutter, set it down in the road, tuck up in this pine sapling, and I'm ready. I shoot a 410 over and under with a red dot on it. That's what I turkey hunt with. And I'm ready. And I hit the call, nothing. I'm like, ooh, I done messed up. So I hit the call, and they cut me off. I said, okay. So I start easing down this road, army crawling. Y'all know how it is. Take the vest off, leave it right there where you were, army crawling down the road. And there's a cutover, and then there's some oaks that come in, and then it's the road. And on my left was the cutover, and then that hedgerow met them oaks like this right here. And I was down this road, And I said, they got to be on that transition line. They in that cutover because that cutover was clean. And I was starting to feel my doubts. And I said, I ain't going to hit the call. I'm going to stand up and look around. And y'all, I just ain't no kidding. I eased up and looked to my left, and it wasn't 10 yards. And I seen him go like that with his head. And I caught that hammer back on that old 410. Boom! And when I shot, you're only allowed to kill one bird a day here on state land. Well, I pulled the trigger and killed 2 in one shot.
Oh,
shoot!
Wow.
Both gobblers, thank goodness, they were both legal. Here we have a 6-inch beard, like they have to be 6 inches or greater. And I go down there, and I walk over there, and I'm like, oh, I done killed 2 of them. And then I sit there for a minute, and I'm thinking, I'm like, what am I going to do? And then I get emotional. And I'm like, you know what? I said it. I said, F DNR, F what when I get done telling them this story, if they ain't got nothing, if they don't like it, they don't care. So I'm driving down the road. I'm driving down the road, y'all, and I have to pass where John passed away at to go home. I pull over on the side of the road. I pull both turkeys out the bed of the truck, and I got this lady taking pictures of me by John's Crossing. Richland County cop drives by, and I can't remember his name, but he looked at me and he said, you know, it's a one bird day limit. I said, well, you call the man. I live at 9 Magnolia Lane. I said, I'll be there cleaning the birds, and he never showed up.
Wow, dude.
That is the coolest story that I
Holy cow.
Wow. That's one of my favorite stories I've ever heard.
Shot with a 410 after I basically lost my little brother. And I mean, I tell everybody this day, I didn't shoot that second bird. Because I never saw that second bird. I'm telling you wholeheartedly, I looked down a red dot scope at one turkey and pulled the trigger and killed 2. I didn't shoot that second bird.
Man.
You know, and I
almost got goosebumps hearing that. That's crazy.
Dude, I remember driving home, and it was a highway that we have. A lot of locals know it. I mean, I'm driving up 601, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. Because I'm like, there's no way this, like and back to what I mentioned Drake. Drake and a friend of mine, Wyatt, who works for me, they were down there hunting all day. All day. I let them miss work to go hunting, enjoy, you know, their time. And I knew the weather was going to be bad, so we weren't going to be able to do much. And I said, hey, y'all take advantage of this morning. Y'all go ahead and go, you know. And, I mean, they went down there and hunted all day, and I'd been telling them where to go. I mean, I even told them of this spot. That's how bad I wanted Drake to kill a turkey. I've killed my fair share of turkeys. Like my dad is. Everybody will tell you, my dad's a turkey whisperer. Like you can tell him there ain't a turkey in there, and he's gonna look at you like you stupid and come back with a turkey. I mean, and so you know, I've killed plenty of turkeys growing up, and I telling them where to go, and they wouldn't go. I went down there 30 minutes, and they'd hunted all day, and I get back up there sending the pictures. So you know, I'm calling Drake and telling him on the phone, and I'm just crying my eyes out. He's like, "What's you snake bit? Like, are you good? What's wrong with me? You don't understand what I just did." Like, you know, and to this day, I mean, I've had some amazing hunts. I mean, I've shot antelope. You know, I've shot rams. I've never shot a bull elk, but I've shot sows, and you know, I've killed big deer and things like that, you know, out west. And that old Eastern turkey hunt right there, that 2 for 1 that wasn't supposed to happen. And that's probably my favorite hunting story.
Dude, that's one of the coolest ones I've heard on this podcast.
Isn't that?
That's awesome.
That's something else. I just want to close it out with this. And if you're hearing this story and you've been an outdoorsman, you've been out in the woods and things like, there's chances are that you have your own version of that, you know. I think we all you spend it because it's such a deep connection to our soul, especially the folks that we spend that time with. I think you have that deep experience, and man, those are blessings, right? And I believe that they happen for a reason. I really do. And I don't know how to put the finger on it. You know what I mean? Like, is it something did I not put war paint on my face the night before the hunt? Did I not, you know, whatever to make me have that deep connection to have that experience happen? But, man, well, you just hit me with something tonight when you're telling your story, Colton. And that is that a lot of times I'm sitting here and I'm waiting for somebody that we talk to tell their story. I'm waiting to hear about how they stalked that deer, or you know, whatever hard thing they went through, or they had a challenge they had to overcome, or the smile on somebody's face next to them, or whatever it is, right? But this is one of the first times for me that it's hit me a little differently, and that is that it's when those stars align type of story, right? And I've had those, and I'm not going to even talk about those, but they do happen for a reason, and I wish I could put my finger on why they do, but man, you were blessed with something special there, Colton, and, and I'm blessed to be hearing it, to be quite honest.
I tell everybody, I mean, you know, God is real, and he's everywhere, and that's probably one of my favorite stories of that's probably my best example of that. You know, you wake up every day, whether you're hunting or deer hunting or turkey hunting, and that sun gun's gobbling on a limb, and you got the perfect pink sunrise in the background. I mean, that just ain't Mother Nature sitting there. You know, we all got one Creator, and we all got to thank Him every day.
That's right.
Man. That's awesome, man.
Well, thank you, Colton, man. Thank you.
And my thing to wrap it up, I mean, talk about like what I'm just thankful that this is how we start off with this series about, you know, getting our listeners on the podcast.
Yeah, this is why.
Dude, and I know like
you're making us look good.
There's so many people, man, that I know you love hunting. You post a lot about hunting, but you're by no means like trying to freaking grow an outdoor brand or anything. You're a dude that loves outdoors.
Very honest, yeah.
And you know there's so many folks like you, I think, that really just have some cool stories to share. So I hope as we continue to do this, we get to have some cool stories like you.
Yeah, and I think y'all do a great job of trying to keep it as raw as you can, and you know, expressing that it's not always easy. You know, you show the reality in it, but you also show when you tough it out your success. You know, like some of y'all's older videos when y'all first started, one of your 8 men, you know, y'all were waited till 11 o'clock to go shoot birds, but all afternoon you toughed it out, laid out there in that cold wind, and, you know, polished off some birds. I mean, that's the raw reality of hunting, and people, and these guys take these videos, and they'll take a video from 3 weekends ago and mash it with this weekend, and you know, making it, oh man, they slaughtered them today. No, that ain't really what happened. You know what I mean?
Well, that's like our very first video, and I'm happy it worked out this way, because honestly, we weren't going to make it a video because we didn't think it would be good enough. But Tristan, we did get enough great footage from Dalton and stuff. But you know, our reality of hunting the Arkansas public timber, we only shot a couple ducks that day.
Yeah, I think we shot 3 ducks that day.
But what we related to for me is that video is so real, and the fact that you should go out there. I mean, yeah, we always want to shoot for the moon. Yeah, of course we do, right? But it really was a true example, because we've spent I don't even know how many hours hunting the public land and all that, and being disappointed and not even shooting a duck, right? But it showed the experience. Yeah. You know, and man, I don't know. I just keep going back to it's one hell of a life. It's great. It's great.
Good way to end it.
It's great. It's great when you get your ass kicked, and it's great when you hit them good.
Amen to that.
Right. Well, right on, brother. Well, thank you again, bro. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank y'all for having me, man. And I look forward to hearing from everybody else, and hopefully you get some cool guys in there that, you know, aren't like Kade said, no wheel lights and curly hair. I'm taking him up on that $5 off too.
He sent a screenshot of somebody already texted him.
I mean, he's got to realize people actually listen, you know.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, that's how he's going to find out.
You know, I'll kind of hit back on this real quick. I mean, like I said, y'all know I run equipment, so I mean, a lot of times I just hop on YouTube and listen to y'all's thing, and y'all talk, because I mean, like we said, I mean, it's raw. Yeah. You know, it's the reality of it, and that's probably my favorite thing about listening to y'all. So I appreciate it. I'm glad I got to be, you know, I'm glad I got to be one of the first ones to get on. I feel like I'm a good vet. You know, I still got the first.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's right.
Well, you know what? All you did today was spoke the reality of everything you talked about, man, and thank you for sharing that with us.
All right, man. We'll catch you on the flip side, all right?
All right, bro.
Sounds good. Take care.
Y'all hold it down. Later.
All right. Later.
I've been southbound, I've been hellbound, riding on the midnight train, Going too fast now, think I'll slow down, standing in the pouring rain.